This year has been awesome for games so far, and as the months keep on rolling, we keep getting more good stuff. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the top 10 video games of June 2017. Number 10 is the Wipeout A Collection, and by the way, this is something I have been waiting for. I talked about it in the racing game video. I'm excited, I love Wipeout so much. This is one of those games I get nostalgia for because it was one of my first 3D games in all honesty. And I have 3 Wipeout games totally remastered in HD with great looking graphics. Wipeout HD, Wipeout HD Fury, and Wipeout 2048, enhanced for the PlayStation 4. I really just can't wait to get into the breakneck weapons-based death races of Wipeout. Like I said, it's 3 games in one. It's super fast, futuristic racing, and if you like that, this is basically the king of it, other than F-Zero, and frankly, I could never decide between the two, so I'm just gonna say I can't wait. Number 9 is Valkyria Revolution, which looks to be a very, very different take on this series that ends up placing the gameplay somewhere between Dynasty Warriors and a strategy game. The structure of the game puts you at the base to prepare, equipping weapons, items, spells, etc., and then traversing to the battlefield in order to fight. Instead of the turn-based Valkyria battles that you're used to, this is a real-time battling game, and therefore much faster paced. But it does attempt to introduce an element of strategy and tactics with customizing the squad behavior, and if it works out, I think it's going to be a pretty sweet game. Number 8 is Machina, which is a twin-stick shooter from House Marquee. The creators of Resogun have brought just like a purely arcade game, using a heavily reworked engine that's voxel driven, although you really probably wouldn't guess it. It's fast-paced, it looks really, really cool, and on top of that, it's got really good music. The music that they've been showing this game with as they've been promoting it has gotten me hyped for the game on its own, which is always a good sign. But with how good Resogun, I can't imagine that they wouldn't work as hard as they can to create something truly awesome with this, and I can't wait to play it. Number 7 is Get Even, a first-person psychological thriller that has you as a mercenary waking up in an asylum with total amnesia. One of the central ideas to the game is there's something called a Pandora headset that is used as a form of treatment. This is an asylum, keep in mind, that allows the person wearing it to go back through their memories and relive them up to the point of the present. Now, the game is technically a first-person shooter. There are guns in it, there is combat in it, but there's a heavy emphasis on technology and atmosphere that I think brings something different to it that makes it look very intriguing. Number 6 is Dead by Daylight, a 4 versus 1 horror game that's been out on PC but is releasing now for PS4 and Xbox One, that if I were to just flat out describe it, would sound quite a bit like the Friday the 13th game. It's asymmetrical, there's a killer, some survivors, and there are various objectives to complete depending on who you are. This is a game that's generated a lot of argument because the game itself is a ton of fun, but sometimes the systems that are built around the game don't necessarily work, particularly lobby and matchmaking, which is not the best experience. That being said, the game itself, regardless of what side you like to play, is actually extremely fun. I think it's probably going to work out better on consoles because that stuff is kind of like already baked in to be better by default, but we don't know for sure. Maybe they'll figure out some way to mess that up. We'll see. Number 5 is Dirt 4, which is the next entry to the, well, frankly, best rally car series in my opinion. It's not a simulator, but it's certainly not an arcade game. It gives you kind of the best of both worlds, as well as some of the best physics you're going to find in any racing game. It expands the numbers of cars and classes, and really just expands the possibilities that way. There's another big way in which the game will procedurally generate racetracks for you based on some parameters that you can define yourself, and although it's not quite a track editor, in theory it should provide a near limitless amount of expansion. It's also going to have a return of Joyride from Dirt 3, and on the PC will include Steam Workshop. Number 4, the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy is 3 remakes of 3 great Crash Bandicoot games, the original one, Cortex Strikes Back, and Warped, that take the beloved original games and update them not only graphically, but add some important features that, well, in order to enjoy a game in modern times, probably need. For instance, they've added unified checkpoints, the ability to save manually, and even time trials, which was originally only in Warped, at least out of these 3. The remakes are apparently very good on account the code that the game was built in was in an unusable file format and the developers had to literally reverse engineer it, but it's also gotten Naughty Dog's blessing, who apparently is very impressed, as well as touched that they're doing right by the original games. Number 3 is ARMS, which looks like a very unique take on a fighting game that actually appears to have its roots in the boxing minigame from Wii Sports. Now, while you can play the game on a Pro Controller, ARMS' strength, pun intended, I guess, lies in its motion controls, where it actually works. It's basically the quintessential Nintendo-izing of a genre that Splatoon succeeded so well in doing. It's only natural they'd want to try it with other genres, and with the idea having gestated over on the Nintendo Wii with Wii Sports, making it into a full-blown title was simply a matter of figuring out what you could add to it that would give it longevity. From everything I've seen so far, I'm actually really excited about this game, and it seems as though it could be revolutionary as opposed to evolutionary, and we will find out very, very soon. Number 2 is The Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind, which is really cool looking. And not because it's an MMO that now can take place in Morrowind, but rather it's a new game with recent AAA graphics that takes place in Morrowind. That's literally all I need to know to try it. And if you're not a big fan of MMOs, if you're really kind of an Elder Scrolls purist, they actually did a lot of work to make it so that you can just role play as though it's a single player game. Given the idea that you can revisit Morrowind, of all places, one of the coolest Elder Scroll locations, period. I mean, there was a lot of ire surrounding Elder Scrolls Online when it first came out, but I would have to say, at least give the new content a shot. There's narrative stuff in it, there's plenty to do without doing the MMO stuff, but if you're a fan of MMOs, that stuff is there too. For me, to be completely honest, this is going to be about going back to Morrowind and experiencing some narrative there that I haven't, but you can go in and craft stuff and sell it to people around Tamriel all you want. And finally, number 1 is Tekken 7, which promises to bring a very arcade-oriented experience to Tekken players may have dropped off for the last few installments just because of the weirdness and all of the, complicated crap. It's a much more streamlined game, and it's meant to give you more of a slice of Tekken. It is very, very Tekken at every point, including even the new characters. That being said, there are some rumors about story mode being pretty devoid of, content, and that rings familiar to me regarding Street Fighter. Awesome game, almost no content, so hopefully they overcome that, and hopefully not through paid expansions. But Tekken has always been a great fighting game, even when they kind of split the fan base over whether or not it was friendly to new players or not. I suspect it's going to be an incredibly fun game, and let's be frank, it is easily the best looking Tekken ever. What game are you looking forward to most in June? Leave us a comment. We can't wait to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, and if you're not subscribed, now is a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.